Hello fourth grade, so today we're going to make a monster mug. So we've been talking about things that scare us, scary things, and now we're going to make a mug that looks like a monster. So you're going to get a slab of clay from me, and the first thing you want to do is get a nice sturdy straight tool, like a small popsicle stick. It's nice and thick and sturdy. A big popsicle stick is a little thinner and it's just not quite as sturdy, or maybe a plastic knife would be nice. And you're going to cut a little bit off of one side of your slab. I would say about a quarter. So here's half, and then half of half is a quarter. And you're going to cut straight down. This is going to be your mug. First thing, I want to make this a little bit nicer of a rectangle. See how this kind of, the edge sticks out a little bit and the top is a little wonky. So I'm going to pull that across and make it a real nice straight edged rectangle. So I'm just going to cut off some of this. You don't want to cut too much off or your mug's going to be really small. So your mug needs to be the thickness of your pointer finger or just a little bit thinner. So now you're going to bring this up. You're going to curl it around and bring these two edges together. So you're not going to bring them up to a point like this so you get a teardrop. You're going to bend them around and bring them so that you get a round cylinder. So you're going to have to, and see how you get a nice circle on both ends. So you're going to bring these together, and what I'm doing is I'm pinching and pulling these together. And I'm not pinching this to where this gets really thin. I want this to stay the same thickness. So now I'm going to put my left hand inside the cylinder. I'm going to put my popsicle stick, get it wet, and I'm going to pull it across the seam to get rid of this seam. Okay. And I'm going to pull. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it around, put my hand inside, and do the other end. Okay, now this doesn't look very pretty. I've roughened up the edges, so then I can just take my fingers, maybe get them a little wet, and just rub back and forth to smooth that out. And so here is, this is going to be the size of my mug. And now I need to make the bottom of my mug. These cracks here are not going to go away, so make sure you use a little pressure with your finger and you smooth those out. Alright, so the bottom of my mug, what I'm going to do is take my remaining clay, the scraps that I have left over, and I'm going to pat this into a pancake. But before I do that, I want to make this into a sphere in my hands and then pat it into a pancake. And it should be about the thickness of my pointer finger. Pick it up, flip it over. I'm going to move it to a different part of the cardboard. If I leave it in this spot here, it could get stuck because it's already wet. And so this is going to be the bottom of my mug, and it's way bigger than my mug. Look at that, it's gigantic. So you're going to do what's called scoring and slipping. I like to use a fork or a popsicle stick. So with a fork, you just do crisscross lines. You scratch the surface of the clay. You're not digging down deep into it. Here's what a popsicle stick looks like. Crisscross lines, scratching the surface of the clay. You're going to slip, which is where you add a little bit of water. You dip your fingers in the water and rub a little bit of water around the edge, and then set it down onto the pancake or slab that you made. Push down firmly, and then take a small popsicle stick or a plastic knife, and you're going to cut around the bottom of this. Then you're going to pull this extra out of the way, and then smooth rid of the seam from the bottom pancake and the edge of your mug. Alright, and so now we're going to make a face on our mug. So I'm going to use this leftover pancake. You might have to take your clay and wad it up again, but I'm going to use this leftover pancake to make a bottom lip for my monster. So I'm going to cut a straight side. This is the side that's going to sit on the ground, sit on the table. And the top of this is curved. Yours could be straight if you wanted it straight. I think I'm going to leave mine curved. And you're going to attach this around the bottom like a bottom lip, like this. So you need to score and slip. So I'm going to score, crisscross lines, score where I think it's going to go, slip, and then I'm going to line this up, put this down on the table so that I line the bottom of the lip up with the bottom of the table, and press this to my mug, making sure that I'm not making this collapse and change shape. And then I'm just going to take the edge of this and bring this to the side with a little bit of pressure. Same with this side, just pull this down, a little bit of pressure. And then I'm going to use a popsicle stick again, get it wet, and pull it across the seam so that this is securely attached to the bottom of my mug. And so that's going to be the bottom lip of my monsters. This is going to be like the top lip. Instead of the bottom lip, we're creating the top lip. So I need to score and slip this. And I noticed that my slab didn't go all the way around, so I'm not going to score and slip all the way around because I don't want those crisscross lines on the back. Slip, so I dip my fingers in the water, just gently touch and add just a little bit of water to the scored surfaces. And then I'm going to lay this right around the top. And this could stick up off the top if I wanted. So I can make it stick up like this, or I can make it lower. I think I'm going to make it stick up a little bit. So this is the top lip of my monster. And it doesn't go all the way to the back, so I personally don't like this. You may be okay with this and just leave it, but what I like to do is take a popsicle stick, a wet popsicle stick, and just kind of pull this in. And I see I'm starting to make my cylinder be oval instead of round. So I'm going to take my fingers and keep my left hand inside to hold the shape of my cylinder and just pull this into the back part of my mug. Looks like this, okay? Okay, so then I have this leftover slab from what I cut around my mug, and I can just cut some teeth right from it. And I just love a popsicle stick. I think it's perfect. It's one of the most perfect tools for clay. And I'm just going to take and just cut right through to make a rectangle. I can take my fingers and smooth out the edges, take the popsicle stick and make it more straight, if that matters to me. Dip my finger in the water, smooth out the edges a little bit. And then I need to score and slip and attach these to my mug. So I'm going to probably use a popsicle stick for this. Score the side of the mug. Score the back of the tooth and the bottom of the tooth. Add a little bit of slip and then attach that to my mug. And I can see my scoring right there, so I'm going to use a popsicle stick to smooth that out. So there's one tooth. So now add another one. Now you have to look at how tall your mug is. If you have a shorter mug than me, your teeth might need to be a lot smaller than what my teeth need to be so that you have enough room for your eyes. Your eyes can always stick off the top too. Okay, so there's my bottom lip with some teeth. And I'm going to cut some teeth. This time I think I'll do triangle teeth. So I'm going to cut a straight line across, another straight line across. So now I have a rectangle to work with, and now I'm going to cut some diagonal lines to make some triangle teeth. And I worked right where this wet spot was on the cardboard, and so this is kind of wanting to stick. Now these edges aren't the best, so I just take my finger, a little bit of water, and smooth those, get rid of those edges. And then I need to score and slip. So I'm going to flip this up, score where I'm going to put the teeth, just a small amount, flip the tooth over, score the back of it. Now if this is lower, I can make my teeth this long, so you have to be careful about how big you make your teeth to make sure they fit. Also, if you make these tiny little teeth, sometimes they're hard to work with. So now I'll make some eyes. So this leftover clay that I have, if you run out of clay, you've used it all in your mug, you can always ask for more. So I'm going to take some clay, roll it into a sphere in my hand. It's kind of big, so I think I'm going to pinch a little bit off and roll that into a sphere again. Okay, and then I'm going to roll another amount into a sphere. It's okay if they're the same size eyes, or your eyes can be different sizes. This is a monster. And then you're going to press down, and when I press down, this cracked. That's because this clay is starting to dry out on me. So I can try to smooth these cracks out with a little bit of water, dipping my finger in the water and rubbing a little bit of pressure. That should fix that. If your clay is moist enough, like this piece is, it doesn't really crack along the edges, which is nice. All right, and so then you can use a round dowel rod. We have a skinny round dowel rod. We have a fat round dowel rod to make the eyes look more like eyes. Okay, and then you're going to score crisscross lines. Now notice when I put my left hand into the mug to hold the shape, as I use my palm of my hand to press these eyes on, and the eyes will not stay on if you do not score and slip. That what happens is as the clay dries, it shrinks a little bit. So if you have two flat pieces of clay and they shrink a little bit, they pull apart and the eyes fall off. But if you score them and you scratch them and you bring them together, the teeth act like a zipper and they hold together. And then when the clay dries and it shrinks a little bit, it just pulls a little bit, but it doesn't fall off. So you really have to score and slip. So at this point, you could essentially be done, and especially if you don't have any more time, then you can be done. But you need to add some texture. So you can come through and with a dowel rod, around a big or small, you could add polka dots or warts to your monster. You could take a fork and scrape into it and make your monster have fur. One of my favorites is the popsicle stick. Again, I know I love a popsicle stick. You can press the edge of the popsicle stick in and it kind of looks like scales on a fish, but I want scales on my monster, so I'm going to use this to add some texture. So I want you to add texture to your monster. You don't have to add it to the whole thing if you don't want to. I want to. I want to add it to all this space around and under my teeth. And I just press that in. Maybe I'll take this, get all the clay off the end, and I will poke little dots into the chin and make it look maybe like a like stubble, like a 5 o'clock shadow. He needs to shave his chin. He's got a fuzzy chin. This might not work because once I glaze this, the glaze might completely cover up these tiny little holes. But for now, they look nice, so hopefully the glaze won't cover them up completely, and I'll still be able to see the little stubby chin of my monster. All right. You could add, if you have time, you could add some horns, or you could add some tentacles, or you could add some feet. But the most important thing about adding those kinds of things is that they have to be short and close to the mug. You can't have these long, skinny, fragile things sticking up or off your mug because they just will break off. It's just too much. The clay just isn't strong enough. So I want to show you how to make horns in case you're interested. What you do is you get some clay. This clay is really drying out. I'm going to get some different clay. And you're going to roll it into a coil, just like this. And I'm going to make short, you need to make short horns too, but I'm going to chop this off, and I think I'll chop this off too. And what you're going to do to make a pointy horn is you just roll on one side of the coil, and look how it gets pointy, just rolling that one side. And you want the bottom of it to be pretty thick, and then you can add that to your monster. So I'm going to score and slip where I'm going to put the horn, and I can't have this horn sticking straight out and long. Scoring and slipping. So I'm going to attach this. So I put my left hand inside the mug to hold the shape, attach the horn, pushing firmly after I scored and slipped, And I can't just leave it like this. This is going to break off. This is just like asking to just be broken off. So I'm going to bend this and curve this and make this get closer to my mug so it's less likely to get broken in the firing process. I am a bit clumsy, so if you have long, fragile pieces, a lot of times they end up breaking, and sometimes it's my fault because I'm clumsy, but sometimes it's just they break off because they're just too fragile. So there's one horn, and I could just have a one-horned monster and be done. I kind of like that. I think I will leave that because, you know, this eye's higher, and that horn just kind of looks like it fits. I could put another horn there, but I don't think it matters, so maybe I'll just have a one-horned monster. So there's one way that you can do your monster mug. I'm going to show you another way where you can do a head, like instead of doing a bottom lip, you kind of do a top head and then the teeth stick out the bottom. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to cut some teeth. This time I think I'll do triangle teeth. So I'm going to cut a straight line across, another straight line across. So now I have a rectangle to work with, and now I'm going to cut some diagonal lines to make some triangle teeth. And I worked right where this wet spot was on the cardboard, and so this is kind of wanting to stick. Now these edges aren't the best, so I just take my finger, a little bit of water, and smooth those, get rid of those edges. And then I need to score and slip. So I'm going to flip this up, score where I'm going to put the teeth, just a small amount, flip the tooth over, score the back of it. Now if this is lower, I can make my teeth this long, so you have to be careful about how big you make your teeth to make sure they fit. Also, if you make these tiny little teeth, sometimes they're hard to work with. So I need eyes. You know how to make eyes, so I'm going to quickly make some eyes. Please notice again how I'm putting my left hand inside the mug and I'm pressing the eye onto with the palm of my hand, pressing it, and then I'm going to redo this eye a little bit. And when I laid this down on its side, I flatten the back part of the mug, so you got to keep making sure your mug stays round. So there are my eyes and my teeth hanging down. I need texture, so whatever you want to come up with, I'm going to do, instead of the popsicle stick, I'm going to do the end of the popsicle stick and do these short lines for texture. Don't forget texture. And I think I'll do fur on this top part, this top lip part, and I'll do polka dots on the bottom. Don't forget the back of your monster. And again, if you have time, you can add horns or tentacles coming off the bottom. I'm going to add a tentacle or two off the bottom quickly just to show you. It's the same thing as doing a horn. And it wants to be, you need it to be pretty thick. And again, it shouldn't be too long, and it shouldn't go away from, stick out away from the mug itself too far, because it's just too fragile. So I'm making it pointy by just rolling on one end like last time. Score and slip. Add the tentacle, pressing firmly, scoring and slipping, and then I'm gonna bend and manipulate this. If your clay is not dried out, your coil will bend no problem, back and forth. But if it's dried out, it will crack and break, and sometimes it's so dry it breaks in half. So if you have a tentacle, you're going to do some tentacles at the bottom. They need to be close to the mug, and they should not be long and stick out too far. And I know that's like no fun. It's like, wow, I really want to do these really great, awesome tentacles, but they just are so fragile. And when you get it back, it's going to be in pieces, and that's not going to make you happy. So it's better just to make them short and stubby and keep them real close to the body of your mug. So there, I made that one kind of curl up, and I made this one kind of curl sideways, and maybe I'll add one more on the back. This is probably way too long, so I'm going to chop that off. Let's see. I would say it shouldn't be any longer than your hand, than like from your thumb to your pointer finger. Okay? Longer than that, and it's just too fragile to stay attached and may just completely break off. I need to lift this up. So here is my mug, my monster mug with some tentacles close to the body. So that's how close they are. They're not sticking out. And an upper lip with some eyes. And if I look down at my mug, it's not round anymore, so I'm going to make this round. And honestly, I'll probably do that for you because you're going to bring your mug to me when you're done, and I'm going to scrape your initials on the bottom. And I will, when I set it on the cart to dry, I will check and make sure that they're nice and round on the top. So that's how you create a monster mug. Good luck, 4th grade.